Okay, so hi. I wanted to talk a little bit tonight before we get into a project. Not like I don't talk while we're doing the project, but part of the reason I started doing stories from Scooter Town was because I wanted to build a community and a world that I wanted to live in. One where people are treated fairly, decently, with respect, where they are looked at, and people see, or the characters see, their intentions and their possibilities. Because when I was growing up, I was bullied for being fat. I was told I was stupid. I was told a whole bunch of really horrible things by people who supposedly loved me, but by people who didn't know me at all. I was punched, I was beaten, when I was in high school, I was the first girl to take, or the first female to take drafting and want to be an architect to take drafting in my school district. I was beaten every day for that, and I had nobody. I had nobody that would defend me, not a single human being. So I just had to take it. A lot of horrible things happened then. I was the first girl in my elementary school to wear jeans, and I was picked on, called all kinds of names. And it's, unfortunately, I thought when we became adults, that kind of thing would end, and it doesn't. You just have to learn how to deal with other people's monsters, because when they're yelling at you and picking at you and trying to find things wrong with you, 99.9% of the time, the insults that they're throwing at you and the horrible way they're treating you is the way they have been treated in the past. And today's one of those days when I'm trying really hard to remember it. Because sadly, it's just something you have to deal with all the time. People will lie. People will try and exclude you or others from the group. And then they'll just keep reinforcing the lies and the exclusion to the point where you just don't know if you can take anymore. And a lot of times when it happens to me, I don't have anyone to go to. I just don't. There's no one that will fight for me. There's no one that will say enough is enough and stop it. So we have to navigate through a world, and today was one of those days. We have to navigate through a world that will sometimes see you, label you, and pick at you because you're perceived as the other. The one outside the group, the one that doesn't deserve respect or kindness or understanding, that isn't allowed to speak or to have other people speak up for them. So in doing stories from Scooter Town, I was developing a community I wanted to live with. I developed characters who had a decent value system, where they see the potential in others, and they treat each other with kindness. So I normally on my video channel on YouTube, I like to do painting video, drawing video, or I just like to vary it up. Sometimes it's painting video, a couple of drawing videos, and right now I just want quiet. I need quiet, calm. So we have a number of drawing videos up, and we're gonna do another one tonight. I need a calm, quiet space because I feel very much alone. I'm very angry over something that happened today, and stuff that's going to happen because I can't control the situation. None of us can. We can say enough is enough, but unless other people stand up for us and see our decency, we have to find a way to muddle through. We have to find a way to muddle through, so this is my way to muddle through. That's the lecture for tonight. Let me turn the camera down and let's get started on a started on a project, okay? Okay. So, we made this wreath, and we made, where did they go? We made Jimmy and Honey Bear to go inside, but I was thinking, because somebody said to me, boy, I really like Honey Bear in there, in that wreath. So I was thinking, why don't we try drawing a couple of other characters? I know Honey Bear came off of a boat project that we did, but let's do him again. Let's do Honey Bear again. All right, so grab your pencil. Whoops, and let's build a world that we all want to live in. Okay? We're going to make the characters roughly this size, so why don't we do this? We're going to draw a line across the top, and that tells us how high they're going to be, how tall they're going to be. Honey Bear is going to be a circle. Why don't we start a few characters, and we'll kind of have them all in the same direction. Honey Bear is going to be a circle. Let's do my guy Jack. Well, they're all my guys, but let's do Jack. Let's do Max. We have to do Max. And he's more of an oval, and he's always looking up. Let's draw another line, because we get a couple more characters we're going to see if we can get through. Another line about the same height as the one on the first page. This tells us how tall they're, come on, tells us how high they're going to be. So we draw another line. Next we've got Dixie. Once again, Dixie is just another circle. Let's see if he'll work in there. How big do we want him? It's going to be too big. So we'll just draw Dixie about the same size as everybody else, his head. And then we've got Bugsy. Another circle. And then we've got, let's draw, we'll leave Scooter out this time. We've got Jimmy. So Jimmy, Bugsy, who did I say? Dixie. Okay. They're just circles right now, but I'm labeling them. Honey Bear. Who did I say? That's Max. And that's going to be my guy Jack. Right now we're very close. Oops. Jack is going to have ears, so I better put his name up here so he doesn't have that in the middle of his ears. All right, Honey Bear is a circle with another circle inside. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's try that again. A circle, and he's going to be facing, there's that axis line that we've used before, telling us which way he's going to be. In fact, let's draw the axis line on everybody. That kind of tells us, well, we don't really need it on Max. He's just going to be pointing in that direction. We don't really need it on Dixie. There's his eye. He's going to be pointing in that direction. We always do kind of a profile of Max and Dixie. Let's do Bugsy. How's Bugsy going to be looking? Why don't we have Bugsy looking at us? So we're going to have the line more in the circle, in the center of the circle, but kind of turn to the side so we have his eyes like that, but we'll worry about it in a second. Let's draw the axis to his face. That's the center of his face. And Jimmy, let's have Jimmy looking up as well. So the axis to his face. So everybody's got a line telling us the direction that their face is going to be turning in. Alright, so Honey Bear has his line. We're going to draw a circle, another circle. Okay, and that's where his snout goes. His eyes, we're going to draw his eyes. Here, put them up here as reference. We're just going to need one eye for this. Snout, eye. His nose is just a triangle going right there. Almost to the top of the circle, but not quite. His ear, once again, here's his eye, and his ear is going to go on either side of that line that tells us the center of the eye, here and here. Okay? His other eye would be somewhere over here if we were going to draw it in. The center for that eye, see how it comes down kind of in a V? That would be the center of his other eye if we were going to draw it in. I'm going to put two lines on either side, and then a curvy bit on top for his ear. I'm going to pull in his snout a little bit because I made it very large. I'm going to erase the line I made for his, or the circle I made for his eye. Remember, these aren't permanent because we can always change them. We're going to do his right shoulder. His right shoulder is going to, going to come down from his face, from the side of his face, down like that, down to an oval that'll be his paw. We're going to draw the other shoulder, his left shoulder. And his left arm is a little bent, so we're going to make it very small, that line. There's his left shoulder coming down to his paw. Let's draw his body. And he's kind of leaning over. He's leaning this way. He's leaning. His body is leaning this way. His face is leaning this way. So we're going to draw two curvy bits. Okay? And there's his torso. Once again, his face is going this way. Torso going this way. All right, let's tackle Jack. He's going to be doing basically the same thing. His face is going this way. His torso's going this way. That's the center line for his torso. We're going to do his ears, which once again are going to be just two lines. We've done this every time. Just two lines sticking up out of the circle that will be his face. Let's see. I like to draw... Oh, wait a minute. Jack, I guess, is going to be looking down because I didn't think that through correctly. His eye will be right just over to the center of the circle. His right eye. His left eye will be just over here-ish. I don't know how to describe it. His nose is just a line just below his eyes, and his nose. And then there'll be two lines coming down from his nose, straight down. I'm going to draw his forehead. Oops. His forehead, his eye socket, down to his nose. Then we're going to draw the back of his head coming down to his cheek, which is just going to be a line like that. And we can always fix this too. We can always reshape it as we go along. We're going to pull it in right there where his jaw is. So no longer a circle. We're going to have a line coming that way to his jaw. And his nose is actually a triangle. So you should have that. Okay? On his ears, where we drew those two lines up, it's just like the leaves. Just two curvy lines. Once again, his other ear, his right ear, two curvy lines coming down, and then the top of his head. Okay? Remember, Jack's wearing a sweatshirt, or a hoodie. So we're going to have a line coming out like this. It's almost like a box, a rounded box. His shoulder, just like Honey Bear, his shoulder coming down in a line. Let's see if we can get this down a little bit further. There we go. His shoulder coming down in the line, down to his paw. His left shoulder, bent like Honey Bear, with a paw. We're going to draw just the base of his hoodie, and then just like Honey Bear, two kind of rounded lines coming down like that. Okay, let me see it. Yep. We will be fixing this so it feels more natural once we've got our pens. There we go. There's Jack. Okay, Max is much easier. Max is basically an egg-shaped head. He does have lines, though. Top of his head, line down to his nose. A little bitty nose right there. The back of his head is just a line coming down to his jawline. Oh, I forgot about Max's arms. I didn't give him enough space for arms. But it's okay, because we can do them again in a minute. We can do that in a minute. Let me see. Max's neck. Two lines coming down to his tortoise shell. And again, I'm sorry, I didn't make enough room for his body and then his arms, but we can fix that. We can make arms separately. His tortoise shell is going to be a line across. That's wrong. Line across. Two curvy lines down. Let's pull this side in a little bit closer to the center line. Okay? Center line, curvy bit, curvy bit. We can do his left arm, his left arm, which is going to be the same as these guys. Okay, with his left hand. Just like that. We'll do that in a minute. All right, let's move on to Dixie. For Dixie, you might want to draw like a cross in the center, which tells you the very center of the face. His eye is going to be here. He wears a pair of glasses, which are going to be, they're kind of big, like my friend Dixie. I'm pulling his circle face in a little bit. There he is. We're going to take, I don't need that anymore. I don't need his name there. I know who he is. We're going to draw the feather on the top of his head. Move this down. Let's see. Okay, the feather to the top of his head, right here, on the circle. And then his beak, which is just a triangle. That's all it is, a triangle. His body is just another circle. And let's see, what are we going to do with his wing? Let's have his wing out like this. Like a hand reaching out. Give him a little bit of a neck. His chin and down to his neck. And let's make his other wing. Just a curvy line coming in like this. Tell you what, see how I'm kind of changing ideas? I just decided to pull the circle in a little bit, have his arm come out. So what it is his shoulder down to his elbow area, coming down to the end of his wing, coming this way to the bottom of his elbow, up to his armpit. Pulled this circle in a little bit, and da-doobie. All right, Bugsy. Bugsy's gonna be more like Jack, I think. So he's gonna have, let's see, I drew yeah, I'm not liking this center line too much, so I'm going to move it. I'm going to draw his axis, the center of his face, over here. I just moved it from down here to over here. See the outside of the line? I mean the outside of the circle? That's where his eyes are going to go. This is going to tell us how it, let me see, which direction his nose is pointed at. So his eyes, let's put his eyes just like Jack, a little bit, like almost on the line, just a little bit above. His nose is going to go there. Top of his head, down to his eye socket. We may have to calibrate him a little bit more, but I'm moving ahead. Oop. My laundry's done. There we go. There's Bugsy. Sorry about that. Okay. Sorry. Top of his head or forehead, with a line down for his eye socket, little line there for the top of his cheek, coming down to his mouth. Little line there coming down to his mouth. Yes? Okay, good. I'm going to erase his name because I don't need it now. His ears, right now, I'm just going to draw a basic shape for his ears. And so it'll be two curvy lines coming out, curvy line coming out, curvy line coming down this way, curvy line coming down that way. May have to rethink that, but let's get through this. First part. Making everything too dark. It's getting muddled. There we go. Under of the cheek, coming down to his jaw, and then his chin. Okay. And from the bottom of the nose, that little triangle that I didn't really explain, right there, we're going to do a couple of little lines. Oop. I think his nose looks too long, but it's all right. It'll be okay. All right, so I did two little lines coming down, and then his top lip, like this. Okay, his top lip on the right side, top lip on the left side. He's going to have hair sticking up on the top. I need a reference material for him. Doo-ba-doo, doo-ba-doo. Okay, got it. I'm going to erase the center line a little bit. His ears are actually bigger. More to the side, I apologize. Oof, God, he doesn't even look like Bugsy right now. All right, why don't we skip Jimmy for tonight, because this is going to take... Oh, no, we're not going to skip Jimmy. Just because I'm not drawing Bugsy right doesn't mean anything. Excuse me while I figure this one out. You may have to stop the camera to copy this. Yeah, I'm moving his ears. All right, I moved his ears down. We had big lines up here, so I've moved them down a little bit on his head, coming down this way. So it's basically a square on the side of his head. Doesn't that sound lovely? We're going to do it again on the other side. Line coming up, look at where it is. See where it is? There's his eye, it's up here. Line. Basically a rectangle, rectangle-y square on the other side. Okie dokie pokey. We're going to keep moving forward. All right. This is what happens when you draw live on camera. I'm moving his eyes down. I don't like them where they are. Okay. There, that's more puppy-ish. You see, that's where the original eye was, right up there. Okay. You can see my lines. I moved them down. I made that one more of an oval, but I just moved it down. All right, see if you can do that. I'm sure you can. Okay. Now his body is just going to be center line to tell us where his body is going. This line this way. Curvy line on the other side for his right shoulder down, coming down. And the same thing on the other side. Oop. It's too far out. Just like that. There's the center line for the direction of his body. There's his head. Center line for his body. Two curvy lines coming down. Okay. We're going to put a paw up here. And then look like, yeah, we'll put a paw right over here and then move a line over there so it looks like he's got one paw up. His shoulder is lifted. Okay, I'm erasing that center line, and I'm going to give him a second paw. I hope this isn't too hard. Just giving him a second paw. All right, let's tackle Jimmy. You know how I feel. I love him to death, and he's the hardest one for me. So, I'm going to do him anyway. Let's have him looking up. There's the center line. We know that it takes an oval to determine where his nose is going, which is above the line, above the circle. There's the oval for his jaw and cheeks. There's the oval for his nose. So we know his eyes are going on either side. We want them kind of low, close to the oval, close to the nose, just like that. So we've got the center line, then we've got the eyes. They're headed in this direction. That's the direction the mouth will be headed in too, just like that. Eyes, the mouth will go there. This will all disappear. We're just using it as like a guide. We're going to pull the circle in a little bit. do, that's still out too far, his forehead coming down, his forehead coming down. I always make that oval too big, so we're going to end up pulling it up a little bit. Let's see. I like to draw his mouth next, so I know exactly where it's going to be. And I can always see I drew the oval way too large, so I'm going to pull that up. There's his chin. That's the first oval I drew. There's the second one. It should feel a little bit closer to the mouth. There we go. We need his ear to help determine really the side of his face. His ear is going to reach from the top of his eye to about the bottom of his nose. There's his ear. Top of the eye, bottom of the nose. And then, oops, we're going to draw a line down. That's his jawline. There's his chin, so we're going to erase that lower line. See how far up that's come? That gets pulled in. Here's the original circle right here. And we pulled it in. Pulled it in. His ear is helping us to determine the direction. And we're going to come down. I think I want to pull his eyes down just even a little bit lower. They're way high. I've been making that mistake a lot lately rather. Okay, he does not look good at this moment. He looks really creepy. But he will get cute. Alright. So let's have his torso coming down in this direction. So a line down, that tells us where he should be. Left shoulder up a little bit. His neck, because his head is pointed up, so his neck is kind of in the center. See? It's coming off that center line. He's got a t-shirt on, which always, there's the collar, and his left shoulder. So we've got his right shoulder and his left shoulder. Where's my little friend? There he is from yesterday. Oops, sorry. Let's have his hand. Another oval. We're not going to bother with his other arm. So we're going to draw the t-shirt line right here. T-shirt line right here. Maybe we will draw his other hand. Let's see. Yeah, let's draw his other hand. So, pardon me, we're going to pull the shoulder out a little bit, his right shoulder out a little bit, draw the sleeve, his arm, there's his shoulder, sleeve, arm is just a little bit, in a little bit closer to the center line than his t-shirt, and a circle for his hand. And we're going to draw Jimmy first, because he is absolutely the hardest one for me to do, because I'm so scared of getting him wrong. Okay, so first, let's do the eyes. Jimmy represents a lot of people, and I don't want to upset people who might look like Jimmy, so he scares me to do. But I keep doing them anyway, so I can see if I can get them better and better, or get them right. So the back of his head, his ear, I'm going to do his jaw in a little bit closer. I'm going to do his forehead now. Woohoo! Down to his cheek, which always has a little bump out, and then his cheek. His chin. Okay. I like to do the top of his hair a little bit higher than the circle I've drawn. And remember, it's curly hair, so it's always just squiggly lines. He likes to keep his hair high and tight. So that's it, squiggly lines. Let's tackle his right shoulder, sleeve, arm, and then hand. Will make it more, sorry, the hand we're going to give a few more lines to. So I want you to look at it. This line would be his thumb, that line sticking out. So it's like a box, a broken box, but with a sticky outy bit. Alright, let's draw his neck, the collar, his left shoulder, and his left hand will just make more of a square because that'll be the easiest. Okay. Let's get our skinny pen. And draw his nose. I made his nose way too high. Way, way, way too high. I'm looking at it. So I'm cutting some of that off. I don't want it huge. I want it wide, but I don't want it high. Because then he would look kind of ridiculous. So I just lowered the line a little bit. Yeah? Taking my tiny pen, my skinny pen, and just drawing it with dots and dashes. I'm going to draw his mouth with my Sharpie, with my fat Sharpie. And I'm giving him a smile. Okay? Now I'm going to draw his lips. Let's remember that it's an oval and they're full, so it's going to be an oval. Oops. Oh, ugh, I don't like his mouth at all, but we're going to keep going. That's all dots and dashes for his mouth. His eyes are just lines. Okay? Looks a little cuter, even though I screwed up his mouth. I'm sure you're doing a better job than me. Let me see something though. Ugh. Oh, I really messed up his mouth tonight. But we're going to stick with it. We're going to keep going forward. Alright, let's go to Bugsy. Let's draw his eyes. The two circle, well, the circle and the oval for his eyes. Let's draw his nose, which is basically a triangle. Okay. And then the two lines coming down to his mouth, like that. And then two curvy bits coming up. So he looks like he's smiling. The two lines down, like a little mustache, and then two curvy bits coming up. There's the second one. Let's get the top of his head. And the top of his head are a lot of lines and dots and dashes. Because he's got hair sticking up. Boink, boink. Okay. Like a puppy. His ear, dots and dashes, furry lines. Yes? Doody-doo, doody-doo, dots and dashes. There's another ear. Just, that's it. His forehead, boink, 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 dots and dashes, coming down to his eye socket, coming down his snout to his mouth. The chin, dots and dashes, and then the same thing with his jaw. Okay, there we go. Let's do his left shoulder. Doop. His left shoulder to his paw. Dots and dashes. The front of his tummy. I'm just going to pull it in a little bit. I'm going to make it like an S line. Because when dogs are standing up, they get skinny right in there. So I just changed it a little. The left shoulder. Just like that. See how I just kind of changed it on the fly? You can do whatever you like. And then his paw. Alright, let's fill in his eyes. Just a bunch of lines. Okay, there's his eyes. Let's do his nose. Just lines. That's all they are. Choo, 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 choo. Lines. I want to get rid of that. Sorry, Jimmy. I'll get rid of these center lines a little bit because they're making me crazy. Right. Now let's draw Dixie. Let's draw his eye. Whoop. Let's draw his glasses. Dots and dashes if you like. Okay. The line for the glasses is actually a little bit higher than the center line we had on him. Let's just up a little bit. Let's draw the top of his head, the top of his head, the back of his head, his chin down to his neck, his beak, boink, boink, it's just a triangle, the feather coming out of the top of his head, whoop, move down to his arm, his little hand. And he can be dots and dashes too. His hand and his arm. Okay, it looks like he's reaching out. Let's draw his tummy. Let's draw his right shoulder. Down to a line that is to be his wing. That's all it has to be, is a line. Let's draw that bit. The rest of his body. Okay, fill in his eye, and it's just lines. Ready? Doop, 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 doop. Okay. Our Dixie looks a little funny, but it's okay. All right, what do they do with the other guys? These are far less complicated. Honey Bear, we'll do his eye. Let's do his triangle nose. Let's do his snout, which is dots and dashes. And some solid lines. The top of his head. His ear. His right ear. Okay. Back of his head down to his jaw. Sounds like I'm lecturing, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to. The front of his face down to his jaw. His left shoulder down to his paw. front of his tummy and his chest. Whoop. And let's see, his right shoulder down to his right paw. And then the other side of his chest down to his tummy. There we go, Honey Bear's done. Oh, except for his eye. Whoop. Gotta get his eye. Doop, 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 doop. His nose, just a bunch of lines. And that's it. We didn't do the other eye on Honey Bear, it's okay. Let's get Jack real quick. His eye, his right eye, his left eye. Sorry. His nose, the triangle nose, the left forehead, down to his eye socket, down to his snout, down to his cheek. 2 lines coming down, just like Bugsy. The back of his head, down to his down his cheek, down to his snout and jaw, and the other line, the other side of his face, the other lip. Okay. Left shoulder, circle for his paw. Let me see. I think there's his hoodie. It doesn't look quite right, so I'll add a line right there. So I did the outside of his hoodie, and then I added a line on the inside for the inside of his hoodie. Let's do his right shoulder. Sorry. His right shoulder, an arm, down to his paw. Okay. Now his chest, down to his tummy, his chest, down to his tummy, the bottom of his hoodie. We're going to draw another line for the bottom of his hoodie, and on the bottom of his hoodie is elastic, so we're going to go like this. Alright, and we did draw Jack going this way. That's the line for his body, but his hoodie, the zipper for it, is going to be a different line. There's the motion for his body right there, but the zipper for the hoodie is coming over here. All right. I'm going to put a triangle at the top, because that's where it zips up. Can you see? That's where the zipper would go. Do his eyes, the lines on his eyes. Ooh, we forgot his ears, and we're running out of time. Forgot his ears. Ooh, his nose. Line, 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 line. There. His ears. We're just going to do the 2 curvy lines on the outside, right? Let's do it again. Curvy line, curvy line. On the inside of this one, we're going to draw another curvy line with a hook at the bottom, because that's the inside of his ear. To the top of his head, and it's just like Bugsy's, where he's got hair. Boink, boink, boink. Now let's do Max. Let's get his eye, the top of his head, which is a little bit of a line. Little bit of a line. A line coming down to his nose. I don't think his eye is big enough. But there we are. A little bit of a line coming down where his nose would be. Just a tiny bit of a line. Line coming down his jaw to his neck. The back of his head down to his neck and his jaw. Okay, it looks a little weird, but it's okay. Now we're going to draw the top of his shell, which has a little bit of a dip in it. Left side of the shell, right side of the shell. See the little dip? That's his clavicle. That's where your collarbones meet. His left arm, 2 lines, and his paw. And we'll have to do his other arm in another video because I kind of messed up. But let's do lines for his eye and see if we can get some of this cut out. I haven't erased a lot. Actually, we're really out of time. So why don't we erase and just be happy with what we accomplished tonight. How's that? Let's be happy that we've drawn friends who are not going to bully us. They're not going to think the worst of us. They're not going to lie about us or talk about us. They're going to be kind and generous, and patient, because they're our creations, and we can make them into anybody we want them to be. We prefer decency. Look at what we did. They may not be perfect, but it's okay. Look at what we did. Let me grab this one. Poor Jimmy. I keep doing my best, buddy. I really do. I love and respect you, buddy. I love and respect all my friends. I don't always get everything right, but I try. So we did it. We drew 6 characters. We drew 6 characters where there were none before. Pat yourselves on the back. We'll do more with these in another video. But you can always cut them out and try them in your wreaths. See how they work. Okay? We can cut them out in another video, but we'll see. But you go ahead and cut them out. Alright, and we'll fix Max later. Poor Max, poor Jimmy. Alright, good job, everybody. Good job, and thank you for your patience. I appreciate it very, very much. All right. See you in the next video. Ciao. Uh-oh.